Welcome. Omega Project Solutions has been a company that's been around since the early 90s, and we have from the very outset focused on major capital projects and helping companies implement and complete those projects better. And we do that through two main avenues. One is our consulting business, where we provide experts in areas like project controls, cost control obviously, health and safety, as well as software tools and implementing those software tools with those organizations to help them streamline processes and produce better results. We have a large product range in the software world. Pims is our product banner, and within Pims we have document control, cost management, and that's obviously what we're focusing on today. Experience in benchmarking, which we'll touch on a little because it is closely tied to Pims Cost Management. Completion management will also lead a bit into our workflow product as well later on. But when people ask me what is it that makes us unique from a software perspective, well, the answer is simple. At Omega, we do what's needed to make our software your software. Now, we've all heard of the PARETO principle. It's also known as the 80-20 rule, where typically it takes 80% of your time to complete the last 20% of a project. Now, we have anecdotal evidence that says the same is true in cost engineering, that our cost engineers spend too much of their time collecting data and entering it into a system, and it leaves them too little time to analyze and update their forecasts for the project. Pims Cost Management enables us to turn that around and enables your cost engineers to spend a lot more time analyzing and forecasting and less time doing data entry. Today we're going to look at some of the tools we have in place that enable you to achieve those results. We'll look at how, for instance, we can easily import data from Excel, copy and paste data in, update multiple records at one time. So let's get started and dive in. First off, from a historic point of view, Pims Cost has been used for many years. It's been used on small projects throughout the world to large billion-dollar plus projects. And it's obviously been used successfully on those projects. Those projects have been anywhere from Norway to Australia to the Middle East. Now, this diagram we have in front of you shows how a typical project is handled in Pims Cost. So you'll have a one-off setup for the project in the beginning, where you're going to set up high-level project data, who some of the key players are, bring in your WBS. Once we've got that established, then we go into really the detailed process, where we'll first off import our estimates, and then later on, as the project is running, we'll be updating estimates. From there, we'll update the schedule. We'll bring that in from Primavera if that's what you're using. We'll look at time phasing the estimates, and we have tools for that. We manage our contracts and our purchase orders. We'll report on actual value. We may well be interfacing directly with your ERP system for that, so it'll be automated. We'll handle changes throughout the life of the project. We'll update our forecasts and produce our monthly report. And then we'll typically do it again for the next month and the following months. At the very end, you may well want to take advantage of the data and the information you've gathered in this project and export that to our experience in benchmarking product. And that'll help you analyze future products, compare them historically to ones that you've done, looking at changes in product costs, at currency, CPI, etc. Now, obviously, Pims Cost Management is built on industry standards, and you can see some of those mentioned there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into Pims and have a little look. So this is my Pims dashboard, I'm going to dive into cost management. And what you see here is the cost curve for the project. I'm working on the Boulder development project, which is a high value, over half a $1 billion value FPSO project. So that's the one we're going to focus on today. I've got my cost curves here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into my WBS. So I'm going to drill into that, and I'm going to go down. This is how our WBS is broken down for this project. I'm going to go into the FPSO level, and you'll see that that chart changed a little, maybe not that much, so I'll go one level deeper. I'll go down to my basic engineering, and there you can see some significant difference. The overall value of my basic engineering within this WBS element is $8 million roughly. And what I'm going to do, I want to look at comparing my planned cost with my actual. So I'm going to remove some of these other elements of the chart. I'm going to start with my basic planned cost in the blue line over the life of the project and my actual cost. And we can see we're hovering around the plan, but we're typically a little under, and in fact recently we've dived even further. Now what I'll do is I'll come back and look at progress. So how's my planned progress mapping to my actual progress? Now the good news is there, the trend is that my actual progress is starting to catch up with my planned progress. So that makes me feel a little more comfortable as the manager for this particular project. So now let me look at performance. So here I'm looking at my CPI, my cost performance indicator, and my SPI, my schedule performance indicator. And I can see both the periodic performance per month as well as the cumulative. So let me just hide the cumulative for a minute, and I can look, and typically my CPI and SPI are both hovering at or below 1, and I'd rather be above 1. Now thankfully we've had a massive spike in the CPI in April, and I've had some dialogue with my team. They've spoken to the contractor and we've confirmed that that is real. So I'm going to add a comment just down the bottom here to confirm that the CPI in April is valid, which is great news, and save that. Now, a key element with this, the comment functionality, is that this is tied directly to the WBS element that I'm looking at, and also the period that I'm dealing with. So I'm currently in the April 24 cutoff period. All right, so if I come back now, I'll bring back, see what impact has that spike had on my cumulative CPI. You can see there, thankfully, it has just brought us back to 1, but needed a massive jump in April to establish that. Also, while you're in these charts, you can easily print them and turn them into images that you can incorporate, say, with your PowerPoint presentations that you might have going on. All right, you'll see here now, if I jump back up one level of the WBS, that comment disappeared because it was tied to that lower level. All right, so I'm going to come back again to the high level, and we'll go through some of these other tabs here. The cost curves we've started at, we've seen the performance. I have my cost status. Okay, and this is where I've just got the high level numbers behind the elements of the WBS that I'm currently dealing with. I can also go backwards and forwards in time. So you've got to go backwards before you can go forwards. But this is going back to previous cutoff periods, typically the last Sunday of every month in this case. And I can see how were the numbers trending. And then as I bring myself back forward up to today's values, I can see here the FPSO. I've got my approved funding and my master control estimate, or my baseline, approved changes, my current control estimate, pending changes, etc. And then over on the right hand side, I can start to look at my forecast versus my approved funding. And I can drill in from here too. I can go one level down into the FPSO WBS, and I can see here it's made up of basic engineering, hull and living quarters, etc. I've got $13.8 million in approved changes. Again, that's an active link. I can click on that and see how that $13.8 million worth of changes has occurred. Okay, just coming back. Now looking, say, at my contingency drawdown. I can see, okay, we're matching actuals with plans, so that's good. I've got some data down here. Where has the contingency been used? My commitments, contracts, variations, pending variations, and current forecast is all detailed here and made available to me. And finally, we have a set of published reports. Now, I won't show you these now because we'll be looking at some of these later on in the system anyway, but as the manager, I can easily access them straight from the system. I can look at my cost curves, my cost status, which is very similar to what we were just looking at before, but it's there at my fingertips. And that's the whole focus and major point for me as a manager, why I love the dashboard. It's interactive. I can go looking for the information. I can look for trends. I can make notes. I don't have to always rely on sending an email off to one of my team members to collect the information and wait for them to report back to me, or walk down the hallway and see them. I can self-serve here. So now I'm going to hand back to Natalia as my cost engineer, and she's going to take you through other elements of the system.
All right. Thanks for that, Shane. Now, again, as Shane described, he was coming in as from a managerial perspective. Now I'm going to show you what a typical cost engineer would go or would do and go into. So again, in the light of the presentation, what we're trying to say, we want to limit your time in data entry, and we want you to focus more on analyzing and the other stuff like that. Now, what I have here, so let's say what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you different forms, because again, we don't have enough time to show you all of the features and that Pims have for you. So as you can see at the top, I have the different tabs already open for you, the stuff that we're going to go over. They're different forms. All right, while the cost engineer is working through this, what's really cool about it, right now I'm in this form called the data import form, that I can always take it out and put it in my other screen. It has floating menus, and I like that because I like to work with dual screens, and when you're doing work on one side and you have your information on the other, I really like that. Again, it's an option and it's there. All right, so just to start off, in this first form, we have a data import form. I want you to imagine a scenario where I'm working with my team, and I actually have an Excel spreadsheet with all my information. And just for visual help, I have this spreadsheet up for you. So now, if those of you who worked with Excel, and I coming from an Excel background as well, I'm so used to dealing with spreadsheets and stuff like that. But there's a lot of room for like error. There's typos, formulas. Maybe I forgot to put a minus sign or something in my formula. Things get shifted, especially when you're moving the Excel from person to person. Sometimes people like to move columns around, rename your columns. All of those issues that a typical system, when you import that information, you have to redo and check your spreadsheet. In Pims, when you're using Pims, that is no longer necessary. Pims makes your life easier. So let me go back into our Pims form. So again, this is the data input form. Whatever information you want to put into Pims, you would use this form. So if I can take your attention to the right, you have a navigation pane. Okay, so basically what you're telling Pims, I want to import in my change register, my engineering register, my estimates, etc. Now, in the case of this demo, I want to go and import my information into my estimates. Okay, so When I click on it, here to the left, I see my information that will help me put that information in there. All right, so let me go ahead and browse for my file. Okay, so it's as simple. I'll just go and grab the file. Okay, cost webinar, and here is my estimate import. Okay, now once here, remember how I said that, that if the titling is different or stuff like that? Well, as you can tell from my spreadsheet, I'll open it again so you guys can see. For example, I have quantity written out, and I have the word ID here. And the way I have configured Pims, or the way my standard template in Pims is that I have QTY, and I need the ID to say work pack ID. Not a problem. I'll go ahead and map those columns to their destinations, and I already have that set up for you here. But it's as simple, it's a drop down because it reads from the columns. I'll go ahead and pick it, and I'm telling the system I want quantity to go into the Pims column that says QTY. All right, and of course, if your data starts at a different row, don't worry. Tell Pims where the data starts, and then with the click of a button, you can excuse me, you can preview that data below, as you can see here. Okay, so easy. You can scroll left and right. It is not imported yet. It's just a view right now, so you can see what's going on here. Now let's see if I have any errors or typos within the spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and go to my validation results tab that's up here, and what Pims does for you, it scans that data and it checks for any errors. Okay, so right now it's telling me that my work pack ID on row 1 does not exist, so I have an error there. So when I go back here, that is indeed true. I have a dummy number here. So I can go in and edit that. I can just manually type it in, or I can go into the spreadsheet again and fix it there, and then just browse for it again. Okay, now how is all that set up? I use my validation rules. This is something that I configure beforehand. I'm telling the system, hey, make sure that my my quantity is in fact a number, or rate is a number. So it does all those checks for you before you actually import it into the system. It's very easy. I really like this feature. So no data entry required, just simply insert. So when you're done with that, all you need to do is press that import button at the top, and it will import that information into the system. All right. So next, I'm going to go through another form. This one's called work pack estimates. Here, I want to analyze my estimates per work pack. Now, what you see here, very much like the previous form, we have our navigation panel to the right. This lists out your work pack ID numbers. All right, all of the ones I have for my project, which is Boulder in this case. Now, in here, I can right-click, sort, filter, or I can use the little filter text box at the top, and I can go ahead and type in a keyword, and of course it will filter down. Very easy to use. Okay, and I can get out of that. Now, if you notice, as I click on each line work pack ID number, the left side will change according and provide the information for that work pack ID. So, for example, let's go into civil and architect, for example. And here's my information, my line items. And this is what you see here. So I got my item number, I have description by category, quantity, unit, etc. And I can always scroll left and right. Okay, as well as their other information like activities, estimate, deviation, etc. Okay, so this is really nice and very, very easy to see things by work pack ID. But let's say today I want to work on multiple work pack IDs but focus on one WBS. Okay, if you put your attention to the top right over here, every form has a series of buttons. Okay, right now I'm going to touch Show WBS Navigator. When I touch it or click on it, you'll see that a navigation pane appear to the left. Now here are my folders the WBS folders. And here I can drill down. Now notice as I expand and collapse and I click on the WBS, the right-hand side should change and give me the WorkPack IDs per the WBS that I have selected. All right, so for now I'll just click Basic Engineering, and these are my WorkPack IDs. This bothers me, don't worry, you can close it in and maintain that filter. Okay, what's really cool about this is that I can right-click, export to PDF, Excel, etc. I can manually edit. There's a formula here. It has all the features that I need to work with. If this is too complicated, like you wanna change multiple items that goes across all WorkPack IDs. For example, let's just say I put an error in my contract ID number, and all of these WorkPack IDs have AA-01 as a contract number, and oops, it's supposed to be AA02. But I don't want to go into each WorkPack ID and change that. Don't worry. We have a data sheet view here at the top, so when I click this, it puts all those line items, of course, based on the WBS that I have selected. And again, I can click that and click it back in. Based on that filtering, I can see all the line items in a spreadsheet form or a view. So just like on a regular spreadsheet, you can filter. You got like little sort options, filter at the top, scroll left and right, and you have all your information there. Okay. Now, going back to what I was saying with a scenario where I have an error, let's say I want to change all of these. Okay. Those of you who likes find a replace feature, we have that here too. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, this one all the way to here, I'm going to right click, find and replace, and I'm going to tell the system, please find -01 and replace with AA-02. I'll go ahead and replace all, and excuse me, and voila, it updated those 16 records. Very easy. I don't need to spend time diving into every single one of these. Okay. Now let me go back to this other view, and let me go ahead and go to Civil Architect. Another feature that I wanted to show to you guys is, again, like I said, you wanted to export to Excel. For example, let me go ahead and export and show you what that looks like. Export. Oops, export. Okay. What's really cool about this, as you can see, very, very easy. You have all your information there. Okay. Now, so again, that was your WorkPack estimates, how you can drill down, etc., etc., etc. Let's just go ahead and let me pull up something really cool. Really cool for you guys. All right. Let's go into our pivot estimates. So for those of you now I'm in another form. For those of you who like the pivot function, Excel is not the only system that has that pivot feature. So here we have, I want to go drill down and analyze my estimates. Okay, and just like any pivot, you got your columns right over here to the top. You can always drag your columns. Okay, and what I'm going to show you here, so these are based on my level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 by WorkPack. And just like in regular navigation, I can drill down, okay, and I can see my estimate total on the side. If I would like to see a different view, for example, when you see in the top, it says choose what data to view. Right now I'm viewing my new estimate. But let's say I want to go ahead and compare my estimates, for example. Okay, and over here I'm still at the top. I want to compare my master control estimate with my new estimate. When I click update, you see it'll update on the bottom. So I see my master control numbers here, my new numbers here, and I see the difference in there. The ones in red shows me again if my new estimate is over what I had planned or my baseline. Okay, and if I want to know where those numbers come from, I'll go ahead and drill that down, and I can see those numbers there. Okay, click of a button, that took me no time. Okay, now another cool feature I want to show you is the number 2. We have a new estimate categorized. Okay, so let's say you want to group your items by category number. And as you can see, when I clicked that view, the category column appeared. Okay, and then I can drag that over here, and when I right click, let me go ahead and collapse all. As you can see, everything is grouped by the category. And just to show you, this is all my contract WBS and ID numbers right here. Click of a button, very easy. Okay, so again, that was my pivot estimates. I'll get out of that. Okay, now I'm going to show you another pivot form, but this time we're going to look at cost phasing. So I want to see my numbers through time. So very similar to what I showed you before. You got your column headers here, and you got your information to the side. Okay, now this feature has a period. You can see things by periodic view, cumulative view, and I'll go ahead and scroll left to right so you can see that. And right now this is filtered by month. Okay, when I go periodic, I can group it by quarter at the click of a button. Quarter, year. I can select my period, my cutoff dates. Okay, I have all of that available to me, and again, you can always drill down to get your information. Okay, now you guys may say, you know, this looks great, but again, I'm forced to stick to this view. What if I want to make my own pivot table? Not a problem. We have a button here that says switch to advanced view. When I do that, I have a blank slate with all my columns. My blank slate with all my columns at the side. So just like you would do in a regular Excel system, you'll just go ahead and grab, and let's say I want to use my level 3 items. Okay, let's put that over here. And I would like to see the information by month. Okay, and I want to see my planned cumulative as well as my actual cumulative. Ta-da! So as you can see there, there's all my information. I created my own pivot, and of course you can be more creative. You can add and delete what you like. Now, one feature that we have here is something called an add computed field. So within here, I want to insert my own calculation. So I'll go ahead and go in here, and I'll click that button, and I guess I'll say difference. Let's do a difference in cumulative, for example. Let's give it a title. Okay, and I want to see here. I want to see my plan minus my actual, so I can see that difference. So you'll get this window, this pop-up window over here, and again, you have a sort amount of selections over here, and you just pick one, and you just basically create the calculation here. So for now, I wanted to see my plan cumulative, and I'm going to, minus my actual. So let's go ahead and find that. Here it is. Okay, so as you can see, plan cumulative minus actual. When I click OK, instantly those differences and that calculation would show up. Okay, so as you can see, I created my own pivot within the Pims system. All right. Okay, so that was again going over the pivot cost phasing. Let's move on. Okay, so as you can see, all data entry going into using those pivots to slice your data, very simple. Now here, what I'm going to show you is our project status tab. This is where you would do your analysis, your forecast analysis. All your information is here. Okay, so as you can see, this part of the screen is just your workpack line, your workpack IDs listed, all listed. Okay, and then depending on what I select, which row I select, the information of that item will be listed down here. Okay, so again, if you're just working on one WBS, we still have that navigation view up here. So I'm going to go ahead and just so you can see how it works again, I'm going to drill down basic engineering just to be consistent. Okay, and then I'll just see the workpack IDs of that WBS. See? So I'm not looking at a huge amount of information. I can still filter that. Okay, so what you see here, you got some warning signs. Okay, workpack ID, title, my progress entry. I have a forecast method. I can actually determine which forecast method I would like to use, and it will change the numbers on the side. Okay, I see my current period, my earned actual cost, my cumulative to cutoff. Okay, my project total to the side, my plan summary, and so forth. Think that's a little too much to see? Don't worry. We have these little tick marks at the top. It says show, current period, cutoff, etc. All I need to do is check those off, and that's it. That's my standard view. Want to see more? I click them back on. And as you can see, they appear to the right. Okay? So it's really, I really like that because, you know, I can just focus on what I need to focus. Okay? So to bring your attention to the bottom, again, I have, just to be consistent, civil architect selected. So what you see here in the bottom are the tabs and the information that from that line item. Okay? So I have my analysis here. Okay, so this is just a summary of what's in the system. Okay, here's my planned cost, my earned value, actual cost, actual progress, planned progress. And then they have the formula already set up for you for cumulative previous plus period, and I get my cumulative current. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Now here on the side, I have this I can use as as an analysis tool right here. So in this section, I have my calculated forecast based on Pims registers. Okay, so that's one thing. I get all that information from my contracts, my approved changes, my personnel estimates, all of that. I have that information here. Okay, and as you can see, okay, if I were to base my forecast method on contract value, this is what's going to be my total forecast. Okay, so let's just test that out for a second. So okay, I'm in civil architect. Okay, and right now with this little drop down thing, my forecast method, I want to change it to let's say pending changes. Okay, so what I'm saying to the system is that, okay, I want to go ahead and apply the pending changes because I know, and if you see down here, the 1 million number over here, I want my forecast to show that. So here on the side, we have total forecast. Okay, right now this is what's showing. So let me go ahead because I've said that I wanted to change to pending changes. I'll just go up here where it says update progress. Okay, and I just want to update the forecast. I'll get a little pop-up window here, and I'll align it here so you guys can see how the numbers will change. And I just want to calculate this row only. All right, when I go click OK, see, it updated to the number that was here in the pending changes. Easy. So that was using, that's how you can analyze and see, okay, what happens if we use this forecast method, it updates right there at the click of a button. Okay, and that was using this section. Now in this section, we have calculated forecast based on earned value. So we got your CPIs, if CPI equals 1. We also have a what if scenario where you can type in and enter your own CPI right here. It functions the same as I just demonstrated, as this box over here. I can just go again to CPI, selected, update. You'll see those same changes. Okay, so all of that is within the analysis tab. Again, we have all these tabs. Let's go into planning details. Now, here is this information is coming from a Primavera schedule. So all those numbers are Pims is also talking with the schedule and inputting these numbers here. Okay, we got that information. We got our start, finish date, actual, etc. Okay, we even have our planning activities that is also coming from the Primavera schedule. Okay, we got our actual cost items, as you can see here. Okay, you can see the cost type, the quantity, etc. Okay, got progress items. I hope I'm not going too fast. Contract status, etc., and so forth. Now, this tab that says warnings, this is linked up to what I described before, these little traffic light signs. So basically, I set this up. So I'll go into this tab and say, please mark anything that's committed greater, excuse me, that committed is greater than total planned, or CPI is less than 1. Whatever I set up here will prompt the traffic lights to show up here. Okay, so again, I have my cutoff date over here and so forth. I really like this. I worked with cost engineers before, and I've seen them struggle a lot with regular Excel spreadsheets, and Pims, to me, it's the simplest and easy to use system that I've seen. So okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Shane, and he's going to show you how a manager will come in and print out his own reports, as well as see it's a status report.
Thank you, Natalia. It's good to be back. Okay, now normally this would be done by one of my cost engineering team, but I want to show you I can do it because it's so simple. So as a manager, I'm going to jump in here. I've got my monthly report. I've in fact got 3 different reports already set up and available in the system. One is my monthly, which is my internal report. I've also got one set up for the joint venture partners and one set up for a contractor, and each one of those can be different. Now, because I know that Natalia has enough time to do proper forecasting and analysis, because all of the data entry tasks were streamlined, that I can come in here and produce this. So I'm going to go from my draft to my final report here. And this is basically the menu system that we use to build the report. Okay, so these are the sections, if you like. Front page, okay, it has a pretty picture here. I've got my table of contents, my overall summary. Now, this is, for those of you that have ever had to go through the process of producing a monthly report of this nature, typically it takes you a lot of time. You're gathering information from people, you're compiling it from different spreadsheets. The bulk of everything is already in Pims Cost, so I don't need to do a lot of work apart from gather my monthly narrative. So I've had an email back from the quality and risk team, and I've grabbed the details of that here, and all I'm going to do is paste that in for this particular period. So I've added that in, and you'll see later when I generate the report, it's there. These other sections, like that one there, has some narrative. It also has some reports. This one here is just running a standard report from within the system. Again, another one here is schedule with a particular filter set up to show the information I need. Now the JV report is basically a lot of the same sections. Some of them aren't relevant to the JV, so we eliminate those sections. We also may have different filtering to make sure we show them the information that we need. But when I'm ready, because I know I have confidence in the system and the data quality that has been inputted, the analysis that's been done for my forecast, I've pressed the button. I've said generate the report, and it's going through each of those sections, compiling those. I had some attachments of pictures relevant to this particular project and the current status. So here's my monthly report. There's my front page with the picture that you saw, my table of contents, my monthly report, and if I zoom in here a bit, you will see that in fact it was live because the text that I'd pasted in is there now. And this is just to show you a sample of some of the things available in the system. So the cost status report, that is very similar, as you'll see, to what I was looking at previously on my dashboard. All right, I've got my schedule, I've got my progress curves, and at this stage I'm just focusing on the FPSO. Now, my cost curves here, just diving into that in a bit more detail. I've got planned versus actuals and earns. I've got the data here for the different cutoff period. Now this is just a standard out-of-the-box report that I could have run anytime, that Natalia could have run to help her check on the data that's in the system. But I've said take the contents of that report and include them in my monthly report. Okay, CPI scheduling, CPI and SPI, similar to what you saw before at a different WBS level. Changes that are currently being dealt with within the project. My contingency drawdown. Positions, manpower, those are some attachments. So this is the pipeline that's going to end up bringing my product to market and the nearest platform. And my risk matrix with both threats and opportunities there. So that monthly report is that simple to run. I can generate it at any time. I can also then just send it off, so I can send it via email if need be. Okay. So that's our tour from within the system. Now let's try and summarize what we've seen. Oh, missed it by one. I want the slideshow. Here we go. So that's where we left off. So trying to recap, what we talked about is we have a lot of tools inside the system that make it much easier and much quicker for my cost engineering team to get the information into the system, to validate it, to check that the numbers are right. So we talked about setting up a project quickly. We can use any previous project as a template and create a new project from that, which will bring across the WBS and all of the other key elements. We can copy and paste a WBS into the system. As you saw, Natalia was copying and pasting estimates. It works the same for the WBS. And we can also then set up alternative reporting structures. So maybe for our joint venture partners or finance need a different reporting structure. We can set that up and easily map our standard project WBS to those alternative structures. We can also, with the estimates, and we didn't have enough time to show this in detail, but you can have easily, we have standard profiles in the system, and you can have your own, to time phase those estimates, and they can be front loaded, even, etc., whatever you need. We have the standard interface with Primavera, so we bring that data in. Why do we do all this? Because we want our cost engineering team to be able to have more time to analyze the project, the information, less time having to go out and collect it from everybody, have multiple people putting it into the system. We're producing better quality forecasts, and in that project status form that Natalia was looking at, there's a lot of information in there. But the beauty of that is it is pooling all of the information into the system into one easy spot for her to look at. So she can look at and do what if scenarios and, what does my forecast look like for this particular work pack if I use a forecasting method of this current control estimate versus the current CPI versus a projected CPI that maybe the contractor has said they'll be able to achieve to catch up. And I know as a manager, I can go to my dashboard at any time, and the information there is going to be up to date. It's relevant, it's accurate. Now, looking at what's happening recently as well as into the future with our roadmap from the cost management team. Some of the recent additions include integration with our workflow product and the management of change module specifically within that. So that has been tied into the product. We had a lot of international customers needing more functionality for local content reporting and use within contracts. So what we did is we did some individual configuration work with those clients, made sure we met their needs, and then we brought that back to the product group and brought it into the standard product. Some of the things we've currently got in test with clients out there are additional methods for calculating cash call. Previously it had to be manual, now we have additional options there. Tighter integration with our Pims workflow product so we can handle processes like variation orders, invoice verification as well. We've created a nifty tool that's in development at the moment where you can do high-end what-if analysis. So you can take basically a copy of the whole project, put it into a separate domain within Pims, and go and play around with that, look at different trends, and see what the impact is without touching and risking touching your current project. And later this year, we're going to do some additional enhancements to our Primavera interface. So we're going to hand back over now to Arvid. We appreciate the input you've given him through some questions. He's going to choose some of the more pertinent ones and address those now.
Thank you, Shane. I've been answering questions as you've been demoing to the individuals that posted those. And I brought with me a high-level list of them that I'm going to try to go through. One of the first one was, does Pims handle multiple currencies and currency impact? And that we do. And we see more and more this being a crucial element for our customers in today's market. We can not only work with multiple currencies in Pims, but we also have ways of dealing with the currency impact and even forecasting on the possible scenarios on different exchange rates. There is questions here about ad hoc reporting, and the users themselves can create PDF reports inside of Pims. We come with a set of canned reports. I think it's about 60 canned PDF reports in the cost module, but these can be configured by the cost engineer, and they can also create their own. We do also provide a report developer certification training that we can provide. We have some questions regarding change management and if we do have that built in. The change management, as Shane mentioned, is built into the Pims Cost module. And that is a full workflow module that includes the contingency drawdown, email notifications, and as well as online approval forms. I'm trying to see here the latest question coming in, and it's asked, can you import estimate spread from a spreadsheet, or do you have to do that on your own facing in Pims? The answer is yes. You can use the time-phased values in an Excel spreadsheet and copy those directly into Pims, or import the full workbook right into Pims as well. In addition, that Pims do handle the standard profiles. So we support both options there.
I think that's about all we've got time for, Arvid. So thank you for joining us and answering those during the demo. Okay, just starting to wrap up now. Okay, one of the things at the very end, you'll get asked to fill out a survey, and that's great for us because it helps us make sure that we're continually improving. It also gives you a chance to request feedback. Now, we also have produced a quantitative business case on Pims Cost Management, looking through it in a various scenario. if you would like a copy of that, either request that in the survey or send an email to Natalia or I. Doing a summary of events we've held this year. So our previous webinars in January was how we could enable the commissioning team to be more productive with our offline functionality in our completions and management product, CMS. February was looking at a particular client's implementation of our Pims HSE product and how they use that for their management of change process. And last month was streamlining project documentation and workflow within Pims document control. Our webinar next month will be focusing on the workflow tool that Arvid and I have alluded to during today's session, and how that enables you to really map any business process within your projects. For those of you in the Houston area, we have our next mixer at Papacito's on May the 12th. We had to reschedule it because of the terrible rains and flooding we had in Houston last week. And our next breakfast seminar, which will focus around document control, will be on May 25 at the City Centre here in just near us in the Katy Freeway and Beltway West area. So thank you so much for joining us. I'll let Natalia close off.
All right, thank you. Again, just as Shane said, here our information is here. Please know that we will post a recording, the slides, and also for those of you that we didn't get to answer your questions, we'll try to get back with you via email, and we'll answer those questions. And we will also post the answers to a few of those questions on our website. So again, thank you for your time, and everyone have a good rest of the day.